ठीक है बेटा, आज हमने टुडे वी हैव टू स्टडी रिएक्शंस ऑफ अल्कोहल. ठीक है, और वी हैड स्टडीड दैट द रिएक्शंस ऑफ अल्कोहल्स आर बिकॉज ऑफ द न्यूक्लियोफिलिक अटैक एंड बिकॉज ऑफ द इलेक्ट्रोफिलिक अटैक. सही है. सो फर्स्ट वी आर स्टडिंग द रिएक्शंस ड्यू टू द न्यूक्लियोफिलिक अटैक, या रिएक्शंस इन विच कार्बन एंड ऑक्सीजन बॉन्ड्स आर ब्रोकन. ठीक है. So the reactions of alcohol and the reactions in which carbon and oxygen bond is broken ठीक है. And in order to remind you what we learned yesterday, that whenever a nucleophile attacks on alcohol, then it attacks on the carbon chain. When it attacks on the carbon chain, OH negative goes out. ठीक है. What does it mean? It means के which bond is broken? It means that RO bond is broken. ठीक है. So now we will see these this sort of reactions, and the first reaction is what? The reaction with hydrogen halide to give alkyl halide. First reaction is the reaction with alkyl halide. So first of all, you don't have to memorize the reaction. Whatever reaction is given, you don't have to memorize it. For example, I am taking the example of CH3OH and its reaction with CH3Cl. This is partially negative and this is partially positive. ठीक है. This is partially negative and this is partially negative and this is partially positive. ठीक है. So a nucleophile chloride will act as a nucleophile. Chloride will act as a nucleophile. CH3Cl partially negative, partially positive. This negative attacks on this, and this negative attacks on this positive, and reaction with HBr, not alkyl halide, reaction with HCl. Reaction is with HCl. Now this will attack on the positive of this, and the negative of this will attack on the positive of this. What we get is CH3 is now bonded with Cl, and H is now bonded with OH. ठीक है. So this is the reaction with hydrogen halide, and next is the reaction. Next is the Lucas test. Next is the Lucas test, and what is Lucas test? Lucas test is we react the alcohol. For example, we react the tertiary alcohol. We react tertiary alcohol with, for example, this is the tertiary alcohol, and we react it with hydrogen chloride in the presence of anhydrous zinc chloride. Anhydrous means without water. ठीक है. Dry condition. We reacted with zinc chloride anhydrous. ठीक है. So now what happened? This is partially negative and this is partially positive, and here this is partially negative, positive, and this is partially negative. So what would happen? It would behave as a nucleophile and it would attack alpha carbon. As a result, OH negative would go out and would attack on H positive. So what we get is we will get C, CH3, CH3 and CH3, and here we will have now chloride. And what else do we have? We have now HOH, water. So this compound was basically tertiary butyl alcohol. Tertiary butyl alcohol. And this compound is tertiary butyl chloride. And this reaction is very fast. In case of tertiary alcohol, we told you that the nucleophile is attacking, and the nucleophile attack is very fast on the tertiary alcohol. So because the tertiary alcohol is involved, the reaction is very fast, and we get, this is an oily layer. This makes an oily layer, and we get this oily layer instantaneously. Basically, this test tells us about the presence of primary, secondary and tertiary alcohol. This is a test for the detection of 1 degree or 2 degree or 3 degree alcohol. So if we have to check what sort of alcohol it is, what we do is we add hydrogen chloride and zinc and anhydrous zinc chloride. What would happen? If we get the oily layer instantaneously, then it is a tertiary alcohol. Okay? But what if we are not getting the instantaneous, we are not getting the layer instantaneously? Okay? If we do not get this layer instantaneously, then we wait for a while, and if we get the oily layer after 5 to 10 minutes, then it means it is a secondary alcohol. Okay? For example, we do not get this reaction, we do not get the oily layer, we will wait for a while. Had it not been this alcohol, had it been a isopropyl alcohol, for example, CH3CH, CH3OH. Now this is a secondary alcohol. Functional group on alpha carbon is attached with 2 carbon chain. So this is a secondary alcohol. देखना ही आ रहा है रेंज में? Secondary alcohol, or we can also say it isopropyl alcohol. So if we do not, basically we don't know what sort of alcohol it is. To the alcohol we added this, we added HCl and zinc chloride, we did not get the oily layer instantaneously, then we wait for 5 to 10 minutes. If in 5 to 10 minutes we get the oily layer, then it means it was the secondary alcohol. Okay? Because secondary alcohol is not as reactive as the tertiary alcohol. Achha, what would happen? This is partially positive, this is partially negative, and here oxygen is partially negative and carbon is partially positive. So negative of this on positive of this, and the negative of this would attack positive of this. What would we get? We would get CH3, देखना ही आ रहा है? CH3, CH3, and it has been attacked by whom? It has been attacked by chloride, and OH has attacked on H. So we get the oily layer. if we get this oily layer in 5 to 10 minutes, then we say that it might be a secondary alcohol. Okay? So whenever we are in a doubt that whether our alcohol is primary, secondary, tertiary, we add just hydrogen chloride and zinc. If we get the oily layer instantaneously, it means our alcohol was a tertiary alcohol, because the tertiary alcohols are the most reactive. But if we don't get the oily layer in instantaneously, then what is our next doubt? It might be a secondary alcohol, because secondary alcohol are less reactive towards the nucleophile. So we wait for 5 to 10 minutes. If we get an oil layer in 5 to 10 minutes, we think that it might be a secondary alcohol like this. Okay? But even now if we are not getting the precipitate, then the next doubt is our alcohol might be a primary alcohol, which is the least reactive. So in order to check the primary alcohol, we heat it, because the primary alcohols are least reactive. So we heat it. For example, if we have HOC3H7, that is if we have a primary alcohol. Let's suppose we take this CH2, CH2 and CH3, N-propyl alcohol. So this is 1 degree alcohol. This is partially negative, this is partially positive. We react it with hydrogen chloride, partially negative, partially positive. Negative of this on positive of this, and the negative of this would attack on positive of this. What we get? We get CH2, CH2, CH3, and this carbon has been attacked by whom? Chloride. And H came over here, we get this, we get oily layer, but when we got oily layer only on heating. Okay? So if we get the oily layer on heating, then it means our compound was a primary alcohol. देखो ये नजर आ रहा है? ठीक है? So whenever we have to check which sort of alcohol do we have, whether we have a primary, secondary or tertiary alcohol, we carry out this reaction. If we get oily layer instantaneously, it would be a tertiary alcohol. In 5 to 10 minutes, it is a secondary alcohol. On heating, it is a primary alcohol. So for example, if it is said that, how can the question come? For example, write down the question. How can we differentiate between differentiate among N-propyl alcohol, comma isopropyl alcohol? ठीक है, हो जाएगा. एक और क्वेश्चन लिखें. हाउ कैन वी डिफ्रेंशिएट अमंग, अच्छा वो वाला तो बिटवीन वाला हो गया. हाउ कैन वी डिफ्रेंशिएट अमंग 1 butanol, comma 2 butanol, comma tertiary butyl alcohol. ठीक है. So this is how we can use the Lucas test. Now we have the reaction of alcohol with thionyl chloride to give alkyl halide. We studied this reaction in the preparation of alkyl halide, because thionyl chloride is a chlorinating agent. It would chlorinate the alcohol, we will get alkyl chloride. Similarly, the next reaction, the reaction of alcohol with PBr3 will give us alkyl bromide. Same reaction which we studied in the chapter of alkyl halide. Next reaction is again the same, the reaction of alcohol with Pi3 to give alkyl iodide. Now the next topic is the reaction of alcohol with sulfuric acid. ठीक है? Now write down the question.